Next, we'll move on to the next section of our agenda, proclamations. Today we have a couple, and the first one is to recognize Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And with that, we have Ms. Tillman.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. It's lovely to see you today. For the record, my name is Latricia Tillman. I'm the Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer for Washington County. And I'm pleased to offer a few introductory remarks on our cultural heritage celebrations before I turn it over to John Kawaguchi and his daughter Natalie to read the proclamation. So Washington County cultural heritage celebrations and resource pages are an important starting point for our collective organizational engagement and learning about equity, diversity, and inclusion. The Asian Pacific Islander Month celebrations that we will enjoy this month have been planned and organized by more than 20 staff who volunteer to support our learning in addition to their regular work. These cultural celebrations offer an opportunity to enter into relationship with staff and the community who identify as Asian, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and/or Pacific Islander, to build trust and deepen our understanding of these diverse and growing communities in Washington County. The celebrations also create an opportunity to learn about historic and present oppression of the Asian and Pacific Islander community and the community's resilience in the face of that oppression, so that we can reflect on whether or not our current policies and sentiments support the well-being of the Asian and Pacific Islander community and dismantle racism and white supremacy. No culture is monolithic. All cultures, ethnicities, and nationalities encompass a range of diverse life experiences and opinions, and more than 40 countries and far more ethnicities are included within the Asian, South Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community. Consequently, the celebrations and resource pages that we share may not present a comprehensive picture of the nuances or full range of opinions within any culture or subculture. However, we do know that the Heritage Month committees are thoughtful about the learning opportunities they share with our Washington County community. And we encourage people who may be curious about what is or isn't presented or the policy implications of what is shared this month to reach out to us at the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, or to open a dialogue with their colleagues or community members and the planning committees. So I want to thank all the members of the committee who met over the past few weeks under the leadership of Committee Chair Dale Yee to bring us this month's celebrations. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to John Kawaguchi from Health and Human Services, who will introduce his daughter, Natalie, who's a 7th grader at Highland Park Middle School, who will read the proclamation. And then following that, Dale Yee, our committee chair, will provide a couple of closing remarks. So, John. It looks like John is on, but muted and his camera's off.
I've just asked him to unmute. Hopefully he can.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Can you turn on your camera, John? We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Huh, my camera should be on.
Here we go.
All right, good morning, good morning. Hi, good morning, Chair Harrington and commissioners and others. I am John Kawaguchi, he, him, his, and I am an Asian American born on the island of Maui. And I have worked here at Washington County for a little more than 8 years as the Environmental Health Program Supervisor. First off, I would like to thank the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month Planning Committee for putting together the events and messaging throughout this month, and also the board and Washington County for making a proclamation. And also finally, my family. My dad is a second generation Japanese American born on Maui, and my paternal grandparents were also immigrated to the island of Maui to work in the sugarcane industry back in the early 1920s. And then also my supermom, she is a Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor. Sorry, I was having a hard time saying that. The Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month national theme this year is Advancing Leaders Through Purpose-Driven Service. Purpose-driven service creates a positive culture of intimacy, empowers leaders who believe in leading with values, offers frequent encouragement and feedback, and puts employees first. As Trisha mentioned, my daughter, Natalie Aimi Kawaguchi, is a 7th grader at Highland Park Middle School in Beaverton, Oregon. Natalie is a loving and caring person that values her ancestry and is proud of her mixed heritage. I'm confident that my daughter embodies the theme this year. She is a leader. She is purpose-driven. She creates positive culture. And she empowers those around her to believe in themselves. I'm so proud that she's participating in this event. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. Okay. Proclamation. The Board of Commissioners for Washington County. A proclamation in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2021. Whereas the Washington County Board of Commissioners take pride in recognizing May 2021 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, celebrating the many notable contributions of Asian and Pacific Island Americans who have enriched our nation's history and are instrumental in its future success. And whereas after decades of effort, federal legislation co-sponsored in 1992 by Congress members Frank Horton and Norman Yoshiro Mineta, after advocacy by congressional staffer Jeannie Ju, permanently designed the month of May as National Asian American and Pacific Heritage Month. And whereas the month of May was chosen to commemorate the arrival of the first known Japanese immigrants to the United States on May 7, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10, 1969, accomplished with the incredible efforts of approximately 20,000 Chinese workers who endured racist mistreatment and hardship throughout, then followed tragically by President Chester A. Arthur signing into the law the 1882 Exclusion Act on May 8, 1882, suspending Chinese immigration for years and declared Chinese immigrants ineligible for nationalization. And whereas for generations, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have courageously reached for their hopes and dreams and forged a proud legacy that reflects the spirit of our nation, often in the face of severe racial bias, discrimination, and legislation. And whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Americans represent vastly diverse ethnic groups, including all those who have immigrated to the United States themselves, or whose ancestors originated from the continent Asia or numerous Pacific islands known as Malaysia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. And whereas today we stand in solidarity with Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, and assert in the strongest possible terms that anti-Asian racism, intimidation, and hate crimes will not be tolerated and have no place in our society. And whereas the triumphs and perseverance and achievements all Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders continue to inspire us with centuries-old traditions that reflect the multicultural customs and experiences of our diverse communities. And whereas Asian and Pacific Islanders have played a significant role in our local history and community fabric of Washington County, and enormous contributions to science, education, agriculture, government, commerce, and the arts, and many other driven fields of endeavor. And whereas the theme for this year's observance is Advancing Leaders Through Purpose-Driven Service, which also reflects Washington County's strong commitment to an equitable and inclusive organizational culture dedicated to leading with purpose and passion in our service to our diverse community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this fourth day of May 2021, the Washington County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, encouraging all residents of Washington County to share special tribute by learning about and and celebrating the generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who continue to enrich our nation and our local community. Thank you.
Good job.
That was wonderful, John and Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Dale, before we have a motion and take a vote on the proclamation, what would you like to share with us today?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, everyone on the call. Thank you, John, Natalie. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you as a representative of the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month Planning Committee. As a proud member of the Washington County Committee, I wanted to express my gratitude for your continued support and opportunity to present cultural learning and education for all of us. We can't do it without your leadership. And I know that there's a lot of pride in this particular cultural group and all cultural groups to be able to share our history, our background, our knowledge. And I wanted to say thank you once again.
Well, commissioners, we have a beautiful proclamation that has been read today by some very meaningful community members and employees here of our Washington County agency. And I know we have another great leader of Asian and American Pacific Islander descent in Diane Taniguchi Dennis as well. Thank you for being such an amazing example of public service, Diane. So what are the wishes of the commission on this proclamation? Commissioner Treese has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Happy to second it.
Second from Commissioner Rogers.
With a comment to Natalie.
Go right ahead.
Natalie, nice job, but before we give you too many accolades, look to the guy to your left. We're proud to have your dad working for the county. And now you see what it's like every day to go to work in Washington County. And he does us proud. And so hopefully you'll give your dad, I'm patting you for your job, but give your dad a pat for what he does, okay?
Thank you, Commissioner.
And thank you for sharing your family history with us. I really appreciate it. So commissioners, we have a motion and a second to adopt today's proclamation. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today and helping ensure that both the employees of Washington County and Clean Water Services, as well as our community members, have the opportunity to learn more about our past history and our present day, the richness of our community, and to make things better for everyone. Thank you again, John, Natalie, and Dale, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Commissioners.
As well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.